Hey you guys, real quick before I start off with today's video, I just wanted to remind you guys that if you haven't checked it out already, make sure you check it out, sambatree.com. That is an online store that my wife and I started some time back, and you will find a ton of things on there. I mean, anything ranging from oils to bitters to powders, all kinds of things that are good for your health, because that's what we're all about. We don't just talk about it, we be about it. And on that website, on that online store, you're going to find a ton of things on there that is helpful to you, to your family, everything from oral care, everything from skin care, everything from hair care, beard care, what have you. You'll find it all right there on sambatree.com. So make sure you check that out. Another thing too, I want to make sure you guys know, if you don't know already, make sure you check out our other page, and that is mybondtube.com. That's our online video streaming page. It's free. We don't charge you a dime, okay? There's no like you pay us a little bit, you're gonna get a little access to see me behind the scenes stuff. No, we got documentaries, we got movies, we got teachings, we got all kinds of stuff on there. So check it out as well. That's mybondtube.com. All right. So let's go ahead and get back in here and let's go ahead and start this video. Hey, how you guys doing? Welcome again to another video. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys being here. Yeah, I've been out of commission for the last few days, if you haven't noticed, because I wasn't feeling too well. And I think it's one of those like late summer body detoxings that your body does. A lot of times we dismiss these things as just simple colds and that's it, that, oh, I must have caught a bug. But in reality, it's a little bit more than that. It's your body actually adjusting for the seasons. And so what it's doing is, when you don't take the initiative a lot of times to do your own detoxings with, with these different herbs and stuff that's out here, your body will take the initiative and start pushing out those toxins itself. And that's kind of what I think I've been experiencing. So if you've ever noticed that, like during the summer, why did I catch a cold? It's not because it's cold out. It's simply because a lot of times it may be simply your body is pushing out the toxins that it's collected over time. And I think that's the case. But either way, it wasn't that bad. I was feeling pretty good, but it was like a few days there where I was just kind of out of it. But anyway, when you didn't click on this video just to hear about that. But anyway, what we're going to talk about in this video is, something that we have been looking into for some time. If you haven't been following this platform, let me bring up on the screen here again. If you're not aware, we have a Linktree page. And our Linktree page is right here. It's linktree.com/journeyman and woman. And you're going to find there's a whole lot of series. Is that, I don't know. Anyway, that we have done, where we have done just that. We have taken a closer look at the history of Christianity, the history of the Bible, and a lot of the things around that, the history of the Torah, all of that stuff. And we're looking at it from a more holistic perspective. Not just picking and choosing the things that, we just like, or it's comfortable for us, or we've grown used to, but we're looking at everything, and we're allowing people, the viewers, the listeners, to come to their own conclusion based on a more comprehensive gathering of facts, if you will. And so, we have a closer look at the Torah. We have one called Who Told You That? We have Re-Examining What You've Been Told. We have one here on the circumcision series, understanding the history of circumcision and where it actually came from. And circumcision did not start in the Bible, by the way. It did not. It started a lot beyond that. And so we talk about that and give you all the receipts too, so that you can check that out. And of course, we have Who in the L Are You Following series. We have one called The Real Moses, and then much, much more. You'll find that here. So again, you just go to linktree.com/journeyman and woman. And we have all the links right there where you guys can check that out on your own. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at, just a little bit more. This is kind of a not too deep of a video, but again, something that I've alluded to in other videos. When you look at Christianity, not just Christianity, but religions, a lot of these religions in general, when it comes to Africa, these religions tend to have a dim view when it comes to Africa, and more specifically Africans. And you may look at it now and say, oh, well, they have missionaries that go there. They They provide gifts. They feed them. They provide drinking water, things like that. But we want to look at the history, the foundation, because the foundation in of itself, again, apple is always going to be an apple, no matter how many times one of these food scientists out here will try to change what an apple may look like or what it tastes like. It's still going to be an apple at the end of the day. Well, likewise, just with anything else, it's never going to escape its roots. You understand what I'm saying? So there are a lot of things that you see in Christianity today that it echoes its roots, its foundation. And we've talked about this in one of the videos. We talked about how it was Rome by way of Portugal kicked off the slave trade with is an edict basically that was put out by the Pope at that time, basically declaring that all of these people, when they were talking about those in Central South Africa, they were the enemies of Christ. And I have a whole video talks about this in great detail. They said that we are the enemies of Christ and that we were to be forever bonded to eternal servitude, basically, that we were forever to be slaves. And this is how Christianity was introduced to us. Everything to do with Christianity, everything to do with the Bible, that was introduced to us by way of that way. Okay, so we talked about that. And so, like I said, over the years, when you go through, when you look at Christianity, yes, you will find churches, you will find ministries that have done very wonderful things when it comes to our people, black folks, and all of that. But again, has it, in all the years that we as a people have committed ourselves to this belief system, and again, I'm talking Christianity, but you can also apply the same thing to, let's say, Islam. Or, for the few that are part of Judaism, you can say Judaism, now you're getting into the area of Hebrew Israelites, same thing. So when you look at the things that we have committed ourselves to, I showed on a recent video how we as black folks, particularly black Americans, when it comes to church attendance, we pass everybody in the United States when it comes to church attendance and prayer. But the questions remain, why is it that for the most committed to this thing, why is it that we still haven't seen the blessings, if you will, that were promised to those who stick to the letter, so to speak? Now, a lot of times people will say, well, because, we're very quick to point to the things that black folks aren't doing. But, okay, well, you got white people, you got other people who are doing half of what we're doing when it comes to commitment to the book. But yet they have the banks, they got the land, they got the businesses, they got all of that stuff. They are really blessed. But when black folks, again, it's always something that we're not doing. Well, hey, listen, you guys got to pull your pants up. You got to stop disrespecting the women. You got to stop disrespecting the men. And, there's always something. But when it comes to the other man, they can do half of the book and be 3 times blessed. And so we've never stopped to really ask ourselves, why is that? You understand what I'm saying? Because again, we have been extremely, for the most part, when you compare it to the other people, extremely committed to this book and to this thing called Christianity specifically, but yet not so much when it comes to the output, what the promises that were promised to us, right? So anyway, when in some videos, I've talked about how, for example, when you look at Hebrew Israelite, the belief system of Hebrew Israelites, many of them will end up telling you that at the end of the day, they are not African. They do not claim African lineage. They claim 100% Sephardic Jews or Jewish, lineage, and by way of Africa. In other words, they pass through Africa on their way here to the United States and to the other parts of the diaspora. So they really do not holistically or completely claim Africa. Many of them will tell you that straight up. But that's not something they came up with on their own. When you look at Christianity as a whole, it's the same thing. It's where there's no black, there's no white, there's no this or that. We're all one blood or whatever. There's no Jew, there's no Greek. That's funny. A lot of times when they say there's no Jew or no Greek, Try telling that to a Jewish person today. They'll say, oh, no, we definitely are in existence here. And yes, there are Jews, and we are proud of it. But yet, the Bible that they have given us will tell you the opposite, that there are no Jew, there is no Greek. But they will tell you the opposite. Why is it that we don't stop to ask that or wonder about that? That's a whole nother thing. But anyway, I want to show you these quick videos here to show you just this indoctrination of self-hatred, when it comes to our people, black folks, as it pertains to Africa. And I found about 2-3 videos that I want to show you. And we're just going to go through them and I'll comment them as we go. Okay, so let me go ahead and pull this one up here. Just give me a moment. Okay, so this first one is an individual. Her name is Kimberly Daniels. And it just so happens that she is part of the panel of Ron DeSantis, who his team, he put a team together of African Americans, black folks, to teach black history in public schools in the state of Florida. Now, I would highly encourage you to, one more time, highly encourage you to check out this video that I'm pointing to right now on our screen. All right. I would highly encourage you to check out this video, because in that video, we actually took the time to read through the curriculum. And I'm going to tell you right now, 99.999% of the criticism that you see going towards this curriculum, it's off base. It really is. Because most of these people are running off of talking points that were thrown out there by the mainstream media. We actually took the time to read through it and looked at all the details. And a lot of these people are purposely getting it wrong. Now, this is not a promo for DeSantis. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a conservative, nor do I suggest people to vote or support him at all. But we stand on a place of truth here. And when we're going to look at any issue that comes our way, we want to make sure that we take the time to look at the details. And when you look at the details of his particular plan, of this curriculum, it is not matching the criticism that's out there at all. And I would encourage you to take a look at that. Again, go check out that video. Okay, but with that being said, one of the individuals that he has on his panel, though, it does raise some questions. And again, it doesn't, but what she's saying here, which is interesting, it doesn't match what's being put in the curriculum, which I found very odd. But nonetheless, this definitely needs to be addressed. And this is a video that she did some years back. And she declares something that I've heard in Christian circles for years. I want you to take a listen to what she is saying here.
I thank God for slavery. I thank God for the crack house. If it wasn't for the crack house, come on somebody, God wouldn't have never been able to use me how he can use me now. And if it wasn't for slavery, I might be somewhere in Africa worshiping a tree.
Okay, so she says she thanks God for slavery because if it wasn't for slavery, she would be somewhere in Africa worshiping a tree. That's what she said. Now, this analogy that she pulls out comes straight out of white supremacist ideology when it comes to Africa, that they believe that, the people of Africa, they just worship trees, they worship dirt, they worship water, things like that, just objects and things like that. But now, thanks to slavery, she can now preach in the church. Yeah. Anyway, so but she's not alone in this. I've heard numbers of people in Christian circles suggest that slavery, in fact, was a blessing. It was a blessing for black folks. I've heard numbers of people in Christian circles say this and come to this conclusion. And I'm talking black folks that say this, not just white people. Most of the times I've heard people say this, it's come from black folks. And it's one person in particular I'm thinking of that talks about how black people were brought here to teach white people how to be humble. Anyway, so I'm not making any of this up, y'all. But anyway, let me pull up for you another video that I have here. And give me just a moment. And comes from another individual that I just came across recently. Take a listen at this guy. Let's listen.
We got to deal with this. And we need to begin to acknowledge it, talk about it, ask God to help us, because only God can help black people where they are. Black people had Africa, that big old continent over there. They never built one boat that was seaworthy. Not one. There's not one monument in Africa, in all of Africa. I know you're talking about Egypt. Egypt is not Africa. There are no great cities that were built. Even before the first colonization of white people coming to the shores of Africa or the slave ships, black men built nothing. No sewer system, no houses above one level, and none of them made out of stone. All of them made out of grass and wood. Black men, before the white man ever got to Africa. The worst thing that could ever happen to South Africa was when they gave it to Nelson Mandela and black folk. That was a great nation. Now, notwithstanding apartheid was wrong, we all know it's wrong. I'm against it. There should have been some other resolution, though, than turning it over to Nelson Mandela. Disease, AIDS, and crime is running wild in Johannesburg. They're killing one another over there. They're dying of sickness. The government is mismanaged. The people who ran the nation are now leaving the nation because black folk don't know how to run no nation. They don't know how, and we need to admit it. I know you don't like it, but you need to stop shucking and jiving. We got a problem.
The only thing I could say is I think Uncle Ruckus would be extremely proud of this man. This would be, oh, he would love this church. The only reason why I don't think he would go to this church is because the preacher is black. But I think if the preacher was white, he would be on the front row. But I'm telling you right now, what I'm showing you, I know for some of you who are hearing this, this may be the first time you may have heard someone say that, but I'm telling you, the years that we've spent in Christianity, I could tell you right now, I have heard things like this and then some. That before the European man came, we didn't build anything. There were no kingdoms. We didn't build ships. We didn't build anything. We were just sitting around butt naked, hitting on each other, fighting, and that's it. Full of disease until the white man came, and then all of a sudden everything was okay. We learned how to wash. We learned how to communicate. We learned how to walk uprightly. And this is what Christianity, these aren't just one-offs or two-offs, because some people may come and say, well, Dwayne, you're just using very bad examples because not everybody thinks. I never said that everybody in Christianity thinks this. What I am saying to you is that this mindset, if you will, traces back to the foundation of Christianity and how Christianity viewed people of Africa. And there you go. So anyway, but there's one more video that I do want to show you. It comes from, it's a channel. You'll see the channel on the screen. It will come up there, but it features a gentleman by the name of, I used to say Vadi Bachman or Vodi Bachman. So we'll say Vodi Bachman. I think I'll say that because I think that's right. And he's in apologetics, and he's been out here for a number of years. This is someone I used to listen to for quite some time. And, and I think he is a very brilliant man, very, very brilliant man. I believe that if he ever gets over this, I don't know. Let me just put it this way. When you got a whole gang of white folks that are always applauding you, typically at some point, you're going to say, wait a minute, something about this ain't right. And I'm going to tell you, you give it time. I've seen that too. You look at some people for years and years and years, they're okay with that. But then one day something will happen the phone will ring and they're going to answer it, and it's going to say, it's your wake up call. And I think, give him time, I think that's going to happen. I'm just saying. But I really, I think he seemed like a very dear person, but there are some things that I just don't agree with him on, period. I just don't. And this clip is actually, you're going to get it secondhand third hand really, because it's featured on this YouTube page. And like I said, it'll show up on the screen here in a moment, of a guy who's commenting on it. But I want you to pay very close attention to what both Vodi Bachman is saying, and also what this guy is saying on his YouTube channel as well. So let me pull that up. And like I said, pay very, very close attention to what's being said here. And let me get that up. And here we go.
Oh, one of the big moves, obviously, in college campuses, when you have professors who say that they're smarter than your parents, than your pastor, than everything else, is they rely on the fact that they have degrees to basically say that everybody who's religious is stupid. This is the lead attack on religion.
Right.
It's not really on religious values. What they're doing is an excuse for overriding those religious values and allowing you to experience whatever subjective pleasure you wish. But the case that they make is essentially, if you believe in religion, you're an idiot.
Right.
The only thing you can believe in is a materialistic conception of the universe,
right,
in which you're essentially pre-programmed by biology to do particular things. And the argument that they make is essentially you're an idiot to believe in God. So a college student comes to your house and starts telling you that God doesn't exist, that the Bible was written by a bunch of idiots in caves thousands of years ago. How do you respond to that? What's your chief argument to people who are purporting to object to the Bible, or object more broadly to the existence of God and his providence in the universe on an intellectual basis?
Yeah, what I want to do is I want to show them that that's all based on presuppositions, right? The last thing that I want to do is get down on their level and say, okay, fine, let's just leave that aside. No, I want to say to them, all of that is based on presuppositions. You're taking leaps of faith back there in order to get here and make that argument. Your presuppositions have been tried before, and they've led to catastrophe. Mine is based on presuppositions as well, but my presuppositions has led to Western civilization. So that's the first thing that I want to say.
I love.
And before we get to that, I got to say, I want you to make sure you don't miss what he just said. He talks about how the other people, and I guess if you're talking to an atheist, for example, their presuppositions have led to basically destruction, death, blah, 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 all the worst things that are out there. But on the flip, he says his presuppositions, which is based on Christianity, has led to Western civilization. And he says that as if that's some kind of win. Anyway, let's take a listen here.
That response. It is important that Christians understand that when having a discussion with an atheist, it's important that we don't bring ourselves down to their level or pretend as if there is a neutral ground. There is no neutral ground when having a conversation about God, because we live in God's universe. Everything atheists claim, they're presupposing. Let me give you the definition of a presupposition. It is a thing tactly assumed beforehand at the beginning of a line of argument or course of action. A presupposition is something that is assumed in advance or taken for granted. The reality is everyone assumes something. We all have presuppositions. Atheists presuppose certain things before they even have the conversation, as well as Christians. The question is, which presupposition best explains reality? Relativism, subjectivism, or God and his nature, morality, logic, physics, science? All those things are an extension of his nature, and we can apprehend these things because God is the objective reference point. Our presupposition, the Christian presuppositions, have led to civilized world.
Okay, so let me stop there because I want you to make sure you pay attention to a couple of things he said there. So You notice how he says that the presuppositions of Christianity, because that's what he's talking about, he wraps it in science, logic, physics, and all of that, right? Now, I have already told you I am not an atheist. I do believe that we have a creator, one who has created all of nature that we see around us, and including us. I believe that. At the end of it, that's what I believe. Okay. But when it comes to what I believe as far as the whole atheist thing is concerned, atheists that I have encountered basically do not believe in the God of the Bible. See, it's a whole word game, you know, and so they do not believe the packaging, if you will, of the creator as it's being presented in the Bible through Christianity. They don't believe that. And that's not all atheists. Some atheists are just, I don't believe in any higher power at all. So it's a wide range of atheists, if you will. But ultimately, the word atheist can sometimes be overplayed, you know, both by atheists themselves and also people who are accusing other people of being atheists. But if you notice here how he tries to, you know, he assumes in his talking that as if atheists don't use logic, science, physics, and all this other stuff. But what he's also assuming or presupposing that it's Christians or Christianity that includes all of this in their presuppositions. And that's a bad presentation. And that is not a true and honest representation of either side in that matter. But I wanted to point that out because I thought that was, you know, again, we're just kind of picking this apart here a little bit. Let me go back here a little bit and let's hear some things he said again, because I think I may have missed something. Hold on.
Of his nature, and we can apprehend these things because God is the objective reference point. Our presupposition, the Christian presuppositions, have led to civilized world. If Christianity did not exist, if there was no presupposition, there was no God, everything would be anarchy, or like in the animal kingdom, only the strong survive. They make the rules. They rule the world. We would be just like the animal kingdom, like chimpanzees, how they rule their kingdom. That's how humanity would be if there were no God. And God has given all of us a conscience and a awareness of something outside of ourselves. Animals have consciousness, but they're not conscious of a higher power. Humans are conscious, but we know instinctively that there's something outside of us that we are governed by and we are governed to. So when an atheist engages...
So you heard what he's saying. So basically, again, what he's saying, again, is that if there wasn't this belief, if you will, their presuppositions, meaning Christians or Christianity, has led to civilization. I mean, wow. Their presuppositions have led to civilization. And if it wasn't for their presuppositions, then what he's saying is that there would be anarchy. People wouldn't even know what to do. People would just be fighting and just, well, my goodness, I wonder what Africa was like before the Europeans got there. All those kingdoms and stuff that were there for tens of thousands of years. Gee, I wonder what they were like before Europeans got there. But see, family, this is my point. Again, this is what Christianity has put out and continues to put out when it comes to how our people are perceived. I'm talking about our people. I'm referring to those of us who trace a direct lineage to Africa. And what's sad today is you see numbers of our own people who don't want to have anything at all to do with Africa. And because they have been trained directly or indirectly to be embarrassed of it, to be ashamed of it, and to look at only the faults and all that, instead of taking the time to actually study, to research, and to find out the many, many things that were going on the continent of Africa tens of thousands of years, even before the Europeans had set foot there. And no, I could tell you right now, they were not just worshiping. They were not worshiping dirt. And here's the thing, too, that I find very interesting is that you'll have a lot of Christians that will project this, all idol worship kind of stuff when it comes to African spirituality. But they leave out the fact that Christianity in and of itself is rooted in idol worship. You ever been to a Catholic church before? Oh, but Dwayne, Catholic churches, that's not Christianity. Remember, the word Catholic simply means universal. Universal church. Okay, it's a church of what? Christians. Who's the head of the Christians? The Pope. So yes, that is Christianity. So you may not bow down and worship ancestors, ancestral worship, St. Peter, St. Paul, St. Luke, St. Jude, all of those other saints out there that you have all of these edifices built up for, and then you putting candles and stuff under there. Yes, my friend, that is all Christianity. That is all part of the big tent of Christianity. Don't believe me? Next time when there is an anti-abortion march, you take a look at who all shows up. People who call themselves Christians and people who call themselves Catholics. They are all part of the same family. They may worship differently, but they all share the same root. And this is the whole point what I'm saying. This is why it's so important for you. And this is our challenge for this video here to you, is to make sure you take the time, whatever your belief system is, take the time to look at the root of your belief system. Don't just go by the guy or anybody here on YouTube. You take the time and look these things up for yourself. And I assure you, you're going to find some things that are quite interesting. Thank you again for tuning in. You guys take care, and I'll see you again soon.